Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I'm your host and facilitator, Dr. Awanda Bennett, and this morning I have a treat from you. For you, this is going to be amazing. I want you to meet my colleague. His name is Jason Winters, and right now he's serving in a professional capacity as our VP of Marketing at the Project Management Institute of Houston. And one of the things that he has done in his career, after living in Brazil for over 20 years, he's come back to the United States and established a project management, program management office. And he's been doing that for the last few years. And he told me something amazing that I'm really excited about. He went on and achieved a certification in PMO from the PMI. So I have him here today to talk to us a little bit about that. Jason, welcome to the platform. We're glad to have you this morning.
Hello, Dr. Bennett. Really appreciate the opportunity to be with you and your followers and the opportunity to discuss PMO certification. I'm thrilled. Let's go.
Outstanding. So the first question I have for you is what attracted you to this certification in particular at this point in your career?
Well, actually, when I started doing the PMO here, where I am right now, it's been almost 3 years now. There weren't certifications really available, and they weren't necessarily recognized by PMI. So I've had a PMP for about 15 years now, and been a very active project manager in the energy sector. So I kind of started the PMO based on my business experience, my experience as a country manager, commercial manager, project manager, but there was not really any formal, PMO type structure to that. Although our good friend Americo in Brazil created the current certification that we just launched, we'll talk about in just a few minutes. But I was waiting really for that to become a formal PMI recognized certification because for me, PMI is the gold standard in project management certification. So I was really excited when the certification was launched just a few months ago.
Well, I'm glad to have you. I know they launched it a few months ago. Precisely when did that begin?
So at the end of 2024, which was almost about a year after PMI acquired the PMO Global Alliance, which was called, so they rolled out a certification that became an e-learning module now. And then in February of this year, it was formally launched as an actual certification. It's called the PMI PMO CP, or the Project Management Office Certified Professional, with PDUs. So it takes 30 PDUs versus the 60 you would need for the PMP. It's also a 3-year cycle, and it's got certain rules and regulations similar to the PMP, but it's really lined up in the same way as the PMP.
What advantages in the industry do you believe you'll get from this because it's so brand new? I mean, being one of the first to get it, I think that's pretty exciting. So tell me, what advantages does it give to a professional in your opinion?
So sometimes I think we're just lucky, and sometimes I think it's just I don't know if it's our destiny or what, but the company I'm working for right now really perceived a need for project management excellence and really didn't have a formal PMO set up per se. So I kind of started that from scratch, and even though we didn't have the certification yet, they've been super supportive of the entire PMI journey. So when this became available, I had to look at it. I looked at the online courses, so it's not a huge time investment. It's about 10 or 12 online courses you take before you're able to sit for the exam. But as I was going down the list in those courses, it was talking exactly to everything that I wanted to know about best practices for PMOs, things that I was probably doing right, quote unquote right, and things that I could potentially improve. And I'd say I wasn't too far off, maybe 75, 80% in line with best practices. But that other 20% was really the game changer for me.
That must have been extremely validating to know that by your natural path, you happen to be following the right direction. That must have felt great to know the things that I've been putting in place are truly what it should be. So that was great that you saw from your own lived experience that you were doing it the right way. And then you also got a boost because you were able to learn how to improve it even better.
Yeah, I'd say really, and the biggest thing that really was an aha moment for me was the perception of value. Because I think in my mind, if we say, well, we have a PMP, we know what best practices are, we're the project management expert, we can therefore set up a PMO effectively because we know, quote unquote, the right way to work. Rather than this is a service provider, it's located at the highest levels of the organization, and they have to perceive value in having that organization. Otherwise, you're just going to have project teams. They might have projects in the business lines or the service lines, but they're not seeing the true value that a PMO can actually bring to the company.
So your work became one where you had to do perception management along with the value in order to bring that to the leadership.
That is not very easy, by the way, even with all the experience I had. And I thought, well, this is a no-brainer. I can just show them. And we first started with the ISO 33000 project management maturity assessment, and it gave us certain configuration. I mean, sometimes you can say, well, other philosophies with PMOs say you have a center of excellence, or you have a controlling PMO, you have an enterprise PMO. It depends on what part of the organization it's going to be located. It depends on the level of control, remit, and governance that your PMO is going to have. But it didn't tell you about the perception element. So you could be doing all of that. You could follow the ISO results. And actually, in this case, the results that were reported to the people that took it were like, hey, that's not actually what we want. I said, well, the results don't lie. This is what you should have. They're like, I appreciate what you're saying, but is there a hybrid approach that we could implement that can make us perhaps improve our maturity in project management over time, rather than a radical change that may not be in line with the culture of the company? So we landed on a hybrid approach, and at first it was a bit, okay, I don't know how I'm going to actually do this, because either we're controlling or we're not controlling. It wasn't that simple as black or white question, but over time we realized that it was the right choice. And when the certification came along, it was actually that. It was like, you have to align the benefits and the perception of value, and then you have to show value over time. So the other flip part of this was, we could have waited to actually look at the long-term fixes that the company was looking for, and it would take 2 to 3 years, because normally PMOs take about 2 to 3 years to set up. That's the normal. And I have to agree with that, by the way. Even though we wanted to kind of compress that timeline, there are certain things you really can't compress like you would like to. But in the way, when the certification came along, it was like, that's exactly it. Let's teach you how to show perception of value to the top management, the top senior level management, because without their support, the PMO will not exist.
So what I'm hearing is that it took a bit of tailoring in order to get it into that hybrid model, that you absolutely had to do some adjustments and some improvements in order to have it appropriately be launched in your organization.
Yes, and I had to look at the strategic, tactical, and operational sectors or the sections of the PMO, because really you want to make sure you're showing, and this is another thing I like about the certification, is you need to show value over time. If you wait to show value only in 2 to 3 years, it's an investment, and the top management is counting on you to deliver something that may or may not be in line with their expectations. What if you had quick wins, or you could even look at the number of benefits and services that are available for a PMO, and determine, you put them in different categories. So you have the operational side, like project planning, like direct project support. You can have the tactical side with your training and your development, mentoring programs, things like that. And you could have the strategic side where you're looking at portfolio management, you're looking at long-term business goals, perhaps internal initiatives. If you combine those all in a certain way, then you're showing value over time. But you have to make sure that the senior level stakeholders that are involved here, one, want that; two, they really understand the value of it; and three, obviously, they're going to want to see results pretty much over time.
Well, what I'm going to do is take a quick break. We're going to come back to it because I'd like you to show us the value ring that you were going to do. So we're going to step away and then come back. And I'll do that and have you get that for us, because I really would love to have you discuss that for us.
Sounds great. Looking forward to it.